Hello everyone, let us discuss on the topic osmotic and ionic regulation in human physiology. So, before discussing what is osmotic and ionic regulation, let me ask a question. What happens to our body when we drink a lot of water, or why we feel thirsty after eating salty foods? So, in this session we will deal with the answers of these questions and what is the role of hormones in osmotic and ionic regulations. Osmotic regulation means maintenance of water balance in our body, and ionic regulation is the maintenance of ion concentrations such as sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, etc. And why it is important to our body? It's important because of the cellular function and the blood pressure regulation and survival in different environments. Coming to next slide, we will deal with osmotic regulation. So the definition of osmotic regulation is the process by which the body maintains the balance of water and solute concentrations across cells and tissue. This balance is essential for preserving cellular integrity, supporting metabolic processes such as respiration, circulation, etc., and also ensuring a stable internal condition necessary for the survival. So, next, the importance in human life. The first point is maintains the proper hydration levels to support the physiological functions and regulates the blood pressure and volume, and also it ensures the efficient nutrient transport and waste removal and prevents the cellular damage caused by dehydration or overhydration. Coming to next slide, we will deal with the role of hypothalamus and osmoreceptors. So hypothalamus plays a critical center in maintaining in homeostasis, so for osmosis and ionic regulation in the body. So hypothalamus detects the changes in the blood osmolarity or the concentration of solutes via a specialized cells it contains called osmoreceptors. So when the osmolarity increases, that means the dehydration. Cell dehydration, the hypothalamus triggers the thirst and stimulate the release of antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone. Its function is act on the kidney to increase the water reabsorptions, helping to conserve the water and reduce the urine output. Effect on collecting ducts. ADH binds to the receptors in the collecting duct of the kidney, promoting the insertion of aquaporins, or it is called water channels, into the duct walls, allowing water to be reabsorbed into the bloodstream. Also, aquaporins. Aquaporins are also the water channels in the collecting ducts that are regulated by antidiuretic hormone. In the presence of ADH, aquaporins increases the water permeability, facilitating the movement of water from the filtrate back into the bloodstream. So, by the help of hypothalamus and the osmoreceptors and the hormone ADH and also the water channels aquaporins, it will balance the osmotic and ionic regulations of the body by increasing the thirst or by inhibiting the hypothalamus action on the body. In the next slide, we will deal with the osmolarity and urine formation. We know there are two types of urine, hyperosmotic urine and hypoosmotic urine. Hyperosmotic urine means it is a concentrated urine where the water content is low. So during the dehydration, ADH secretion increases, leading to production of concentrated urine with high solute concentration and low water content. Hypoosmotic urine means diluted urine. During overhydration, less ADH is secreted, leading to production of dilute urine with low solute concentration and high water content. Next, the role of proximal convoluted tube. It reabsorbs 65 to 70% of filtered water and solutes and also creates an osmotic gradient promoting water reabsorption into the blood. Na plus reabsorption drives the water retention and osmolarity balance. In the picture, it clearly depicts what happens during the urine formation, how the reabsorption take places, and kidney is a main organ for excretion and also maintaining the osmoregulation. Coming to the role of distal convoluted tubule or DCT, it absorbs Na plus and Cl minus or chlorine ions, contributing to osmotic gradient. Water reabsorption regulated by the aldosterone and ADH. Next, the loop of Henle plays a critical role in creating a countercurrent exchange system that establishes an osmotic gradient in the kidney medulla. Kidney has two parts, kidney cortex and kidney medulla. In medulla part, loop of Henle is present. So it will act a countercurrent mechanism, and this gradient allows the kidney to concentrate or dilute the urine by adjusting the water reabsorption in the collecting ducts and depending on the body's hydration status. So osmolarity and urine functions. Once the osmolarity returns to normal, that means when the body is hydrated, hypothalamus reduces ADH secretion. That will lead to decrease in water reabsorption and production of more dilute urine. Coming to next slide, we will deal with the ionic regulation. Ionic regulation refers to the process of maintaining the proper balance of ions. The ions such as sodium, potassium, chloride and calcium within the body. This balance is vital for nerve signaling, muscle contraction and other physiological functions. Importance in human life: maintains the electrical potential required for nerve impulses and muscle contractions, regulates the acid-base balance or pH in the body, supports enzyme activity and metabolic processes, and controls fluid distribution between cells and tissues to prevent swelling and dehydration. Coming to the next slide, we will deal how these ions are regulated. First, we will deal with sodium regulation. The reabsorption. Sodium is actively reabsorbed in the PCT or proximal convoluted tube and the loop of Henle. Maximum 60 to 70% of water is absorbed in PCT, and the reabsorption of sodium helps in water retention and also overall fluid balance. Aldosterone, this hormone released by the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands are present on the top of the kidney, act on the distal convoluted tube or DCT and the collecting ducts to increase the sodium reabsorption. Aldosterone's release is stimulated by the low blood sodium or low blood pressure. Effects of sodium, like sodium reabsorption helps in maintain the extracellular fluid volume and osmolarity. It also plays a key role in sodium potassium pump, which helps to maintain the cell function and electrical charge across the cell membranes. These are the regulation of sodium. Next, coming to potassium regulation. First, the secretion. Potassium is filtered into the nephron of the glomerulus, but the primarily secreted in the DCT and collecting duct. And also aldosterone, similar to sodium, aldosterone promotes potassium secretion in exchange for sodium reabsorption. When potassium levels rise, the body increases the secretion to maintain the homeostasis. Effect of potassium. Potassium is crucial for nerve impulse transmission and muscle contraction, including the function of the heart. Proper regulation of potassium level is necessary to avoid conditions like hyperglycemia and hypokalemia. Coming to next slide, we will deal the role of PCT and DCT in ionic regulation. Like in PCT, active Na plus reabsorption via Na plus or K plus ATPase and co-transporters reabsorbs other ions like chloride, bicarbonate, potassium and calcium and phosphate, and helps to maintain the electrolyte balance and acid-base regulation of pH of the body. Role of distal convoluted tubule or DCT. Aldosterone regulates Na plus reabsorption and K plus secretion, regulates the CO2 plus reabsorption under parathyroid hormone or PTH, maintain acid-base balance by secreting H plus and reabsorbing the HCO3 minus ions. Next, we will deal with the chloride regulation. Reabsorption. Chloride is passively reabsorbed along with sodium in the proximal convoluted tubule and the loop of Henle, and Cl plus minus and Na plus coupling. The movement of sodium across the nephron is often coupled with chloride to maintain the electrical neutrality. This helps to maintain the balance of ions in the extracellular fluid, and it will maintain the ionic regulations of the body. Next, coming to calcium regulation, reabsorption. Calcium is mainly reabsorbed in the PCT and loop of Henle and DCT. This process is regulated by parathyroid hormone, and this mainly happening on the kidney medulla. Effect of PTH or parathyroid hormone. When a blood calcium level are low, PTH increases the calcium reabsorption in the kidneys and enhance the calcium release from the bones to restore the normal levels. Vitamin D also promotes the calcium absorption in the kidneys and intestines. Next, coming to bicarbonate regulation. Buffering system. Bicarbonate is important for maintaining the body's acid-base balance or pH balance. The kidney reabsorbs the bicarbonate from the filtrate in the PCT, helping to neutralize the acids in the blood. Acid-base balance. When the blood becomes too acidic, the kidneys excrete hydrogen ions into the urine and reabsorbs the bicarbonate, raising the blood pH. Conversely, when the blood becomes too alkaline, the kidney excrete bicarbonate or HCO3 minus. So next slide discuss about the differences of ionic regulations and osmotic regulation. So regulations of ionic regulation is regulates ion concentrations. Example, Na plus, K plus and Ca2 plus. Osmotic regulation regulates the water balance and osmolarity. Primary function is maintain the electrolyte balance for the cell functions. Osmotic regulation maintains the body hydration and osmolarity. Key components of ionic regulation is sodium, potassium, calcium, chloride and bicarbonate. And key components of osmotic regulation is water, ADH, aquaporins and osmolarity. Regulation mechanisms are of ionic regulations is active transport and hormones or aldosterons or PTH. Osmotic regulation mechanisms are ADH regulation, water reabsorptions in kidney. Primary organs in ionic regulations are kidney, inside that PCT, loop of Henle and DCT. And in osmotic regulation, it is kidney. Collecting ducts are mainly included and regulated by ADH. Hormonal influence, aldosterons and parathyroid hormone, and osmotic regulation, ADH and aldosterone. Outcome, proper ion concentration in the blood and fluids, and osmotic regulation, proper hydration and osmolarity balance. Next slide, we will deal with what is the role of kidney in osmoregulations and ionic regulation. It filters the blood, where it removes the waste or toxins or excess substance from the blood, and it keeps the blood pure. And also reabsorbs the nutrients and water which are essential for our body and returns the essential nutrients and water to the blood. Excretes the waste products, eliminates waste like urea, creatinine in the urine. And also urine formation stages. There are 3 stages in urine formation: filtration, reabsorption and secretion. Filtration is happening in glomerulus or Bowman's capsule, and blood is filtered and forming the glomerular filtrate. From that, reabsorption is taking place where it is in the kidney medulla, where PCT and loop of Henle, nutrient and most water are reabsorbed in the into the bloodstream. Secretion, a distal tubule and collecting that additional waste and ions are secreted and water reabsorption is regulated. So these are the role of kidney in osmoregulation. Challenges in osmoregulation. First one is dehydration. Its causes include excessive heat, exercise or insufficient water intake leads to high osmolarity in blood, triggering the release of antidiuretic hormone to retain water and restore the balance. Next is overhydration. It is hyponatremia, results from the excessive water intake or impaired kidney function. This is the answer for what happens if we drink over consumption of water. So it dilutes the sodium levels, leading to low blood sodium concentration, which disrupts the cellular function. Kidney dysfunction also happens. Conditions such as chronic kidney disease affects the ability to filter and balance the electrolytes, leading to issues like fluid retention or electrolyte imbalances. Next it is hormonal imbalances. Disorders such as diabetes insipidus or inappropriate ADH secretion can result in abnormal water retention or loss. These are the disorders happening to our body. Hormonal coordination in osmoregulation. ADH and aldosterone collaboration. Both these hormones are acting in the osmoregulation. Both hormones work to retain water, but ADH focus on water retention while aldosterone controls the sodium balance. Together, they ensure their blood volume and osmolarity stay within the healthy range. ANP's roles in counterbalance. ANP helps to reduce the blood volume and pressure by encouraging sodium and water excretion and counteracting the effects of ADH and aldosterone. According to the clinical relevances, disorders such as diabetes insipidus and impaired ADH function and hyponatremia, a low sodium levels or overhydration. Next, medical applications are diuretics for hypertension and renal function tests. Thank you.